cooperation strategies between two countries. National Assembly Select Committee on Education, Training and ICT analyzed the activity report of the National Accreditation and Quality Assurance Authority for the year under review 2018-2019. And Somali leaders are set to meet next week after missing a deadline to conduct a national election. These and much more coming ahead in the news with me by Ibrahim Cham. Many thanks for joining us. Welcome to the news in detail. The President and Commander-in-Chief of the Gambia Armed Forces, His Excellency President Adama Barrow, on Friday decorated 3 most senior military officers of the Gambia Armed Forces at a ceremony at State House. The senior officers were promoted to various ranks earlier last year as part of government's efforts to reform the armed and security services. As we hear in this report by Mamadou Jallo, these promotions are expected to enhance professionalism and boost morale within the Gambia Armed Forces.
The 3 most senior officers of the Gambia Armed Forces were formally decorated after their promotions by the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Gambia Armed Forces. The Chief of Defense Staff, Yakubu Drame, was decorated with the rank of Lieutenant General, while his deputy, Mamad Cham, was also promoted to the rank of Major, decorated. Similarly, the commander of the Gambian National Army, Usman Gomez, and that of the Republican National Guard, Turo Jawne, were both decorated with the ranks of Brigadier General. These decorations are seen as a major milestone for the Gambia Armed Forces, which is undergoing major reforms to restore public confidence and enhance professionalism within its ranks. The 4 officers later swore to 6 oaths, which were administered by the Deputy Secretary General, Salimatu Toure. The 4 officers are the highest-ranking generals in the armed forces and are highly experienced after decades of service. Speaking after taking their oaths, the Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Yakubu Drame, thanked the President for the trust and confidence, reassuring that he will continue to lead the ongoing reforms undertaken by government.
Promotion in the military is a privilege. Privilege in the context, it comes with associated challenges and responsibility. In other words, to whom much is given, much is expected in return. On the basis of that, Your Excellency, we are aware of these challenges and responsibility, and we sincerely promise that we will live up to those sacred promises and expectations from all Gambians, and including His Excellency, in fulfilling our defined functions as leaders of the armed forces.
The Armed Forces Chief also disclosed that GAF has undergone some kind of a transformation after the change of government, which has seen the Armed Forces play a more proactive and complementary role in support of civil authority. The Minister of Defense, Sir Omar Faye, also hailed the new promotions as well deserved and meritorious, thus marking an important step towards attaining the much-needed security sector reforms initiated by government.
This decoration ceremony is one of a series of similar events signifying the security sector reform has taken a new shape and soon be delivered to the doorstep of every Gambian. This makes us all hopeful that the ongoing reform process is paying dividend gradually, thereby brings the most needed reform that everyone is yearning for. You are therefore expected to deliver to the clarion call of the armed forces in particular and the Gambian people at large.
The President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, His Excellency Adama Barrow, congratulated the officers on their promotions, expressing hope that these elevations in rank will spur them to assume leadership of the ongoing security sector reforms which aims to transform the national security landscape.
We hope that their elevation to new positions will motivate them further to take leadership in spearheading the security reform agenda of the government. As trusted officers, it is incumbent upon you and all those under your command to continue to respond to the security needs and aspirations of the Gambian people.
The Commander-in-Chief acknowledged that the Gambia is emerging from what he called a unique situation, but enjoined the armed forces to be dedicated and tactful in their approach in order to maintain peace and stability, and also win the trust and confidence of the Gambian people.
Our history and experience have put us in a unique situation that demands striking a delicate balance between service and duty on one hand, and discretion and tact on the other hand. In order to accommodate the liberty of the people and respect for the rule of law, working together, we can do this to foster unity and maintain a sense of security and calm among the residents of the country.
The President therefore assured them of his support and encouragement, especially in discharge of their duties and responsibilities, whilst also imploring them to be patient and committed as the reforms progress. In a related engagement, President Barrow also presented the keys of 28 vehicles to the Chief of Defense Staff. The light and heavy-duty trucks and four-wheel drives were procured by the United Nations for the elite quick reactionary force of the Gambia Armed Forces.
Generally, if you want to deploy in any UN mission, there are some requirements which are contained in what is called the status of unit requirements. Each mission has a table of vehicles and other logistics that are required by any contingent that wants to go into those missions.
The equipment comprised command and off-road vehicles, troop carriers, water and fuel tanks, recovery vehicles and ambulances. According to Brigadier General Cham, government has also granted approval for the procurement of what he called critical enablers, such as armored personnel carriers and infantry vehicles, to equip the unit for deployment on UN peacekeeping operations. Modu Jallo, GRTS News.
Still on the executive, efforts to strengthen the Gambia government's bilateral relations with other countries has intensified amid the arrival of a Swiss delegation headed by Swiss ambassador in Dakar, Marian Wichelt, who on Friday landed at the Banjul International Airport. The delegation was received by the Vice President, Dr. Aïssatou Touré, at the foot of the aircraft. The delegation later headed to the State House in Banjul, where they had meetings and discussed a number of cooperation strategies. That report will come later in our subsequent news. Meanwhile, the Gambian ambassador to the Republic of Guinea-Bissau, Lamin Jobe, has presented letters of credence to the President of Guinea-Bissau and in a colorful ceremony at the office of the President in Bissau. A media release from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs states that Ambassador Jobe extends greetings from His Excellency President Adama Barrow and also thanked him for receiving him to present his letters at the earliest possible time. According to the release, the Gambian ambassador assured the Bissau authorities that the bilateral relationship between the two countries will be further strengthened, as Bissau and the Gambia shares a lot in common, which enabled a peaceful coexistence between the two countries. The dispatch further states that matters of establishing strong bilateral institutional relationships were discussed, where sectors of the two countries will come together to sign a memorandum of understanding for their mutual benefit. Among many other issues, the ambassador was later welcomed by both home-based and local staff to his new office. The release concludes. Meanwhile, the National Food Security Processing and Marketing Corporation finally presents its activity report for the year 2017-2019 to the Public Enterprise Committee, PEC, of the National Assembly. Kajata Juara has more.
The National Food Security Processing and Marketing Corporation finally presents its activity report for the financial years 2017-2018 and 2018-2019 to the Public Enterprise Committee of the National Assembly, presenting the institution's financial statement, auditor's opinion and management letters. The Managing Director of the National Food Security and Marketing Corporation, Mohamed Njai, said it has been an extremely challenging year with high competition from private traders, leading to significant changes in business and farmers' delivery.
Before the start of the financial year, we were already aware that this would be an extremely challenging year with high competition from private traders and a change of business model by farmers. So when we look at our business performance, the corporation's operating revenue for the year ended 30th September 2019 grew by 65% from 490,395,000 in the previous financial year to 812,966,000 for the period under review. The growth was underpinned by increased intake of groundnuts. The corporation's loss after taxation increased by 11% from 54,875,000 in the previous financial year to 60,751,000 in the current financial year.
He further added that his staff are on board to implement the corporation's transformation agenda. External auditor Ramatulai Jallo highlighted important points recommended to improve the National Food Security Processing and Marketing Corporation's agenda.
During our review of the control environment, we noted the following exceptions. We obtained the personal file of a staff and noted that there is no evidence that the service rule was signed to confirm receipt. We requested for the written assessment of an employee for the period under review in order to confirm that a formal performance appraisal was conducted. However, we noted that there were no appraisals carried out during the period under review.
The acting finance manager, National Food Security and Marketing Corporation, Aissatou Gay, said over the years, the corporation has affiliated with financial syndicates from the International Islamic Trade Finance Corporation of the IDB Group at a makeup of 6.25%, which she said will be considered alongside recommendations by auditors. The chairman of the Public Enterprise Committee, Honorable Halifa Saleh, adjourned sittings for legislative consideration.
It is moved and seconded that we adjourn to a later date for scheduling the consideration stage of the activity report and financial statement of the National Food Security Processing and Marketing Corporation for the year ended 2017, 2018, and 2019. Those in favor say aye. Those not in favor say no. The ayes have it.
Reporting for GRTS News, I am Khadija Tujuara.
Still on parliamentary issues, the National Assembly Select Committee on Health continues its tour to disaster hotspots and COVID-19 treatment and testing centers across the country. The committee is accompanied on the exercise by officials of the National Disaster Management Agency and the Director of Health Services. Fatima Cham has more.
Disasters pose immense socio-economic and livelihood challenges for communities and sometimes exposing them to even greater health risks. The village of Kuntawur is still recovering from the massive floods that hit the community in 2017. That incident led to widespread of people. The visit by the National Assembly Select Committee on Health and Humanitarian Relief seeks to examine how much efforts have been made to augment the plight of residents. The National Disaster Management Agency says it is poised to address the problem.
The National Disaster Management Agency have been working tremendously to make sure that they come to the aid of the Kuntawur people and the Nyani district in general. Because since the 2017 community flooding happened here in Kuntawur, the office did not rest. We have been acquiring funds from different institutions, NGOs, and the UN system as well. And you can see that the office have also, acquired funds from the United Arab Emirates Ben Khalifa Foundation to support the people of Kuntawur. And we have already constructed 23 houses for the Kuntawur people and a dike that will prevent future flooding of the community. And also we've got funding from the Chinese embassy or from the People's Republic of China to also get them with safe drinking water for the entire community.
The small community is located between the river and the rice fields, and this makes it very susceptible to disasters such as flooding. Assistance being rendered to this community is visible with the construction of houses for those that lost their shelters and the construction of a dike to prevent the water from the rice fields flowing into the community. I asked the disaster management coordinator in the region if this was enough.
The dike is enough. It's just that the construction is still ongoing because we want to construct it in such a way that during the dry season, whenever they want to use their rice fields, there's going to be like a form of a gate for the dike that you can open and the water will go to their rice fields. They continue their cultivation during the dry season. And during the rainy season, you close the gate so that no water will at least exit the dike to enter in the community.
The two-legged tour by the lawmakers avails them the chance to stay abreast with the COVID-19 situation in the country. To this end, they visited the Kuntawur, Biam and Farafanya health centers, where challenges confronting their hospital's response to the COVID-19 virus were highlighted.
Only one vehicle, that's what we have. One ambulance, that's what we are using. All the services. So for example, right now, when we happen to have an emergency right now, I have to call another facility to come and rescue us.
We need trained staff. We have pharmacy attendants, but we need trained staff. And even the lab, currently we have a senior scientist, but the trained staff are very limited. So please, we also appeal to the director to look into that. We need trained staff at the pharmacy and at the laboratory if we want to maintain. Right now, we are doing our best to provide quality, but if you want to maintain that and improve, we need the right people at the right place.
The challenges were similar in almost all these hospitals: the lack of adequate human resource. Kuntawur Health Center, for instance, has a well-equipped theater, but lacks the personnel to deliver the much-needed healthcare essential.
We diverted so many people that we posted around to go to the treatment centers, because if you withdraw them from some of the very, very busy facilities, it will bring down the services there too much. So, but we are aware of these problems, and we work on them quickly. But we cannot promise now until after the COVID.
As part of the exercise, the community also visited disaster hotspots in Bapa Mawega and Nyoro Jataba. The tour continues with visits to the capital city Banjul and the treatment center at the Independence Stadium in Bakau. For GRTS News, I am Fatoumata Cham.
Away from that, road transport officials continued their nationwide consultative tour in the Upper River region, where they held fruitful discussions with transport workers on ways of improving transportation services in the region. Our Samuel Ba is traveling with the team, and he now reports.
The consultative engagement for transport operators in Basse was another vital step in improving land border transportation. Basse is another important provincial settlement, and here accessibility to the main market core is very difficult due to congestion and lack of proper parking space.
The difficulty what we have, especially in this traffic, the police and the Senegalese, they're always disturbing our people. They will see how best what they should do so that this problem will be solved. Especially the police are here for us. They should do their job. There is no doubt about it, but they have to be very careful, especially time of traffic.
The Basse meeting identified the need for a proper plan to prevent transportation hazards and address the needs of all transport users.
The transport union equally need to understand a government is here to protect lives and properties. So the drivers need to collaborate closely with the police for their own safety. But it is never going to be helpful for drivers all the time to be having confrontation with the police while they are on duty, because it's about interest. The police interest is for your safety, but the driver's interest perhaps is what he's going to get, and that might not be his safety.
Authorities call for the strict adherence to regulations, which they believe have partly contributed to the general traffic constraints.
Let them respect the passengers that they are taking on board. You will talk to a driver, ilam volume atala demanding, I'm receiving a call. That's the time they will add. Low down, go down your speed. That's the time they will bust it and then they go. Nanjam rek, kubugud lo nawacha. Already I paid my fare, and then if I step down, he will never return my fare. So definitely these are some of the things that that need to be considered and then need to be addressed.
Local authorities and area councils have pledged their continuous support to the lofty initiative of achieving a sustainable transport subsector.
What I'm telling the transport union, let them have a forum where they can educate their people, talk to them, so that changing a nation is not a one-day job. It's not a one-day job. Some are careless, and you keep on talking to them. Let them be going around rather than sitting in the office. If you are seated in the office, you will not know what is happening in URR, neither you know what is happening in LLR. So you need to go out and then see by yourself.
The talk continues in the central and lower river regions. Samuel Ba for GRTS from the upper.
Moving forward, the management of Fajikunda General Health Center, in partnership with the Ministry of Health, recently awarded over dozens of staffs for their outstanding performance and dedication in the execution of their duties. The award ceremony, which was also characterized by data presentation, was graced by top health officials, experts and community elders of the area. Baba Silla has the latest development.
Despite shouldering numerous capacity challenges, the Fajikunda Health Center is the main health facility serving the densely populated prison on the Western One. For years, the center has handled emergencies, critical conditions, and serious illnesses, including road accidents, but the health facility is facing new pressures following the outbreak of the global coronavirus pandemic. Heroes during a crucial emergency, personnel here are being hailed for their efforts in keeping the population healthy. Alaji Sankara, the Regional Health Director of Western One, challenged staff to remain competitive and challenging in their quest to provide quality healthcare via team performance, ensuring public confidence in the healthcare delivery system.
As an institution, we are honored and we have you as our staff and hope that you will maintain the good name of this facility by all indications in promoting patient health staff relationship and continue to remain to be our faithful ambassadors. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to award staff of this facility as a trend based on the imperative performance in the areas presumed to be their domain.
Mr. Sankara also launched an appeal for private and public facilities to support capacity, boosting activities to improve the quality of standards in their facilities for better patient outcomes.
Your recognition of identifying the best staff is a clear test of the quality of services this facility offers to the people of this community and beyond. As an institution, we are grateful for your support and proud to be associated with you, and we will continue to in the future as we engage many other facilities, senior management teams to emulate your efforts.
Dr. Momodu Nyasi is the Deputy Director of Health Services.
There is no developed nation on this continent, on this earth, that has developed in the absence of data. You have so many data. You have economic or financial data, you have security or military data, and you have health data. I just to name a few. Health data help the health system to improve, to make critical decisions, to make sure that they improve the country.
Dr. Nyasi urged officials to take care of medical data as a vital indicator of health and work outcomes going forward. For GRTS News, I am Baba Silla.
In another development, the Mothers Club of Soma Upper Basic and Senior Secondary School on Friday organized a day-long sensitization on menstrual health, hygiene, and early marriage. The sensitization, which targeted female students of the school, is aimed at minimizing menstrual health issues and lowering dropout adolescent girls in the school. Alajimbai reports.
It's a normal physiological process of female at their reproductive age. However, it is surrounded with social taboos and supernatural belief. Gynecologists believe poor knowledge and understanding of menstruation may lead to unsafe hygienic practices that increases risk production, as well as school dropout, poor academic performance, and overall poor quality of life. This sensitization, according to the president of the Mothers Club, Rabiatu Fofana, will help reduce the associated risk. The issue of menstruation comes as a surprise to some of the girls. That is why we are discussing with them. And parents shouldn't be ashamed of discussing with their daughters because this is normal. Child marriage is also another challenge for the kids, because if they drop out of school and get married, have 1 or 2 children, if they cannot continue in the marriage, it becomes another problem for the parents, she said. Majority of adolescent school girls have poor knowledge regarding menstrual health, hygiene, and child marriage. This, according to Aissatou Touré, a student of Soma Upper Basic and Senior Secondary School, demonstrates the need to design awareness programs on menstruation for adolescent school girls.
Because what Ustaz and Mr. JT were telling us is today that I myself know it, and the colleagues that I was sitting, today is the time that they know it. That's what I would tell them is, let them not feel shy, and also let them take their education serious, because nowadays what they say is true. Because of we the girls, we are causing our parents to take us to early marriage.
Ndai Marang Sanyang of the Gambia Police Force Child Welfare Unit calls for collaboration in the protection and promotion of children's welfare, warning that laws protecting the welfare of children will not be compromised.
We are very much concerned about the issues like this because it's very difficult for us and we cannot do it alone. So I guess the society also have to join us. We do it together because the law is against it. Whoever having given your child as early marriage or any other thing, the law is going to take action against you or the parents. We are really trying our efforts. Definitely we are, because we are sensitizing the community. Time to time we go outside the communities to sensitize them about it. So, but the difficulties we are facing is they are not helping us anyway.
Students of the school presented a drama on the health and social effects of child marriage and teenage pregnancy. The principal of the school and several other speakers gave detailed presentations on the dangers of the practices. Despite clinical and academic effects, the knowledge and hygienic practices of adolescent girls towards menstruation is not well addressed, thus the need for such activities to strengthen their understanding of reproductive health issues. Alajimbai, GRTS News.
The Khalifa General of the Medina Sawane Alhaji Sheikh Karamba Sawane on Thursday arrived in the Gambia amid a benefiting welcome for weeks of Islamic activities. The erudite Islamic scholar was escorted to his host community of Jambanjeri in Kombo North, expecting to engage Muslims in continuing to devote their life to Allah. He was welcomed by a notable Islamic scholar in the Gambia at the Siliti border post. Usman Mane reports.
Alhaji Sheikh Karamba Suwane is the Caliph General of Medina Suwane, a non-Islamic community in the Senegalese region of Casamance, who has a tradition of visiting the Gambia to perform Islamic conferences and prayers for Gambians over the years. His arrival at the Siliti border in Kombo East was witnessed by a score of followers both in the Gambia and from Senegal, chanting Islamic songs. Before performing the Zuhri prayer at the security post at the border, the erudite Islamic scholar described Gambia as his home while praying for the security men and the security of the country.
Mali tentu falisi penke, ngali tentu ko ale minkalito, ayali ni minkafundi anyanda ala tendula nyami, afanayalo ne ko ale minkai.
The Sheikh is accompanied by some notable Gambian Islamic scholars with police motorcade, crews from Siliti en route to Birkama to his host village of Jambanjeli. The entourage along the way received welcoming notes by both the young and old, showing their respect to the Islamic scholar. The delegation first visited the Alcalo of Jambanjeli as customary before disembarking at his host, Janakunda in Jambanjeli. Alhaji Sheikh Karamba Suwane expressed delight as scores of Muslims welcomed him in the country, noting his confidence of Gambians being a peace and God-fearing people who are devoted to serving Allah in his message to GRTS.
Abela kanu mutonyaleti nga kambia ujube nkatara dunia kono fenta hamo kono foka kukendo ke alae ani ajikita minna alatu alla banko ala talemu ala satu alibu niemu medi ala la ikapule niemu medi ala la ikabane ala manali tula ala bulu albe ala bulu ala matinna ala tulan nali bulu albe ala bulle ngabanko be kondom.
The Caliph is expected to preside over an Islamic conference, locally known as Gama, on Friday in Jambanjeli, among other activities during his stay in the country. Usman Mane, GRTS.
To the Upper River region now, where officials from the Social Protection Program have concluded a 2-day consultation forum for community members to assess the outcome of the recently concluded registration by the Gambia Bureau of Statistics in the 30 districts in the country. Our regional correspondent, Seydou Kamara, has details of that story.
Social protection officials are on a tour in 30 districts to assess GBO's data registration exercise that will serve as a gate entry point for the intervention of social programs in the country. The National Coordinator for Social Protection, Alaji Bara, outlined the importance of the event, adding that the social is committed to have an accurate and comprehensive data to be used by all programs that might be needed for future use in the country.
This grievance system is going to address some of the issues that the community of URR may be experiencing. So it's a way of giving opportunities for people to lodge their complaints. But we are also preparing for the national GRM. And the national GRM is not just a program GRM, but it's going to be a program that is going to be a last result for settling complaints where the program implementers could not address it.
The lead training consultant Maud Lamin Sedikan explained his role in addressing the grievance based on data collection to ensure that everyone was captured during the registration exercise.
So today I am here to provide sensitization for the regional structures about what grievance redress mechanism is all about, because grievance redress mechanism is in existence in our community, but the concept is now coming into our project implementation, designs, and even impact assessment as far as the beneficiaries are concerned. So today we are here to make this sensitization for the decentralized structures and other community members, for them to be aware of what GRM is all about.
Mr. Sedikan further asserted that GMR will provide quality data that will be all-inclusive during the exercise.
GBOS is a very important partner as far as the data collection is concerned. They are aware of the establishment of the grievance reset mechanism. They are fully aware. So any issue that we found in the field that the complainants, the beneficiaries are not happy with it, they are free to come forward to this platform and complain, and thereby is going to be forwarded to the National Social Protection Secretariat, who will also in turn inform the Gambia Bureau of Statistics to either send or to correct the situation.
The governor of the Upper River Region, Sambaba, described the consultation forum as timely, adding that it will provide information to the consultant on the recently concluded registration conducted by the Gambia Bureau of Statistics in order to get accurate data.
All is geared towards trying to at least assess as to how the registry went, and at the same time also train the people as to how they should be able to set their grievance committee. Because as you know, in any project or in anything that is coming, particularly with regards to data, there are orders that you know that either one way or the other, they are exempted from it, like maybe they may travel or whatsoever. But now having this grievance committee, that would help in order for people to come out with some of the issues that they believe are relevant to the communities.
It is hoped that the training will serve as an opportunity for community members to share opinions on best practices as well as lodge complaints of dissatisfaction towards the just ended registration exercise by GBOS. With this consultation seminar, it is hoped that grievance committee will be set up at community level for accurate data collection for future development in the country. Seydou Kamara, reporting for GRTS News from Basse, Upper River Region.
We'll take our first break and we'll be back to find out more on the latest talks in ending Somalia's deadlock on the country's delay polls as leaders set to meet next week. Do stay with us.
Believe in your
your talent.
I believe in my own self.
Trust your skill. Don't stop.
You are already a star.
You can do it. Yes, you can.
Yeah, you bro. No.
Be a star the audition. All eyes on us this Sunday. Let the love sparkle. 6 p.m. on GRTS TV, AfriCell Facebook page, Afri Radio, and all our social media partners. Be a Star Show in collaboration with GRTS, Also Hell Entertainment, as Hotel, Beko, and Big Event Production. AfriCell, BA Star, your road to success.
Welcome back. Somali leaders are set to meet next week after missing a deadline to conduct national elections. The talks are the latest in the ending a deadlock on the delay polls will take place. CGTN's Abdul Aziz Below has more.
Fresh confusion has hit proposed talks to end a dispute over Somalia's presidential election. On Tuesday, Somali President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo announced the talks between regional and federal leaders will start on the 15th of February in Garowe, the regional capital of Puntland. But the region's leader has insisted that the planned talks should take place in Mogadishu. President Syed Abdullahi Deni of Puntland wants the meeting shifted to the capital to allow the participation of more actors, including the opposition and international partners. Jubaland Regional State, members of the opposition and the Senate Speaker have supported the calls by Deni. However, Mogadishu insists that the talks will take place in Garowe.
The international community has been urged to take part in the talks. The Somali president, Mohamed Abdul Farmajo, has failed to deliver credible elections. He cannot be part of the solution because he has failed in the past.
In the streets of the capital, opinion remains divided. However, majority are of the view that Somali leaders must set aside their personal differences and prioritize national interest.
The decision on how to conduct the polls should have been arrived at a long time ago. However, we expect regional leaders and President Farmajo to agree. This is our country and we have a say in its future.
I don't expect any progress on the planned talks. It will be the same as the talks in Dusamare. The contentious issues are yet to be resolved.
Unless leaders agree on the ghetto issue, there will be no progress in the new round of talks. The Jubaland regional leader wants federal troops out of ghetto, but the government doesn't want that.
The Council of Presidential Candidates, consisting of former presidents and opposition politicians, want the current president to attend the talks in his capacity as a presidential candidate, not as the president of Somalia.
We call on the public to stay calm and observe the security and stability of the nation. And we call the former president to relinquish his power and authority to the Speaker of the House. And then other stakeholders come together and proceed the implementation of 17 September Agreement.
Previous rounds of talks held in the central Somali town of Dusamareb failed to secure major gains, with parties accusing each other of sabotaging the talks. For now, it remains to be seen whether the venue will be shifted ahead of the talks planned for Monday. Abdul Aziz Bilo, CGTN, Mogadishu, Somalia.
To South Sudan now, where about 75,000 students are taking primary exit examinations across the country this week. However, the country's education ministry says more than 900 pupils are missing the test because the exams papers have not been delivered. CGTN's Patrick Oyet reports.
Who are missing exams are in areas controlled by forces loyal to opposition leader turned Vice President Riek Machar. This includes parts of Jonglei State in the east and Unity State in the north. South Sudan's education minister says the government cannot guarantee the safety of exam supervisors and police officers meant to take exams in areas controlled by opposition forces. The UN is reporting a surge in intercommunal violence in the northern part of the country in a place called Maban.
We did not have access to some areas to deliver the examination, but we also have plan B for these centers. As soon as we resolve the access and the security of personnel, the security of examination, These children are children of South Sudan. They have the right to participate after working very hard in a very difficult time of COVID-19 pandemic. They have the right to have this exam.
The opposition group led by Vice President Riek Machar says it is working with the Education Ministry to resolve the disagreement. The head of the UN mission in South Sudan, David Shearer, says the UN is ready to provide logistical support for the children who have not sat for the exams to take the test. Patrick Hoyet, CGTN, Juba, South Sudan. The pupils who are missing exams.
And before we end this newscast, a quick recap of our top stories. President Adama Barrow has decorated 3 senior military officers of the Gambia Armed Forces at a ceremony held at State House. The Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Toure, has received a delegation of top Swiss officials who are in the country to discuss cooperation strategies between the Gambia and Swiss. National Assembly Select Committee on Education, Training and ICT have been analyzing the activity report of the National Accreditation and Quality Assurance Authority for the year under review 2018-2019. And Somali leaders are set to meet next week after missing a deadline to conduct national elections. Well, that was all we had in this edition of GRTS News. Please enjoy the rest of our programs.